Good evening and welcome to Athens City Council. I'm President Micah McCary and today is Tuesday, January 20th, 2026. Our first item of business tonight is to establish a quorum, and we have all members of council here, so we do have a quorum. Member Swank.
President, I'd like to amend the agenda. One simple thing, under announcements and other business, that we add the motion to confirm the appointment to the Affordable Housing Commission.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor of amending the agenda as described, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. The agenda has been amended. Thank you, Member Swank. Our next item of business is disposition of the minutes from January 5th, 2026. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Seconded.
We've had a motion and a second. All in favor of adopting the minutes for January 5th, 2026, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. All right, the minutes have been approved. Next, we have communications, and I'll begin with an announcement of appointments to boards and commissions that I've made for city council members, beginning with member Megan Almeida, who's been appointed to the Shade Tree Commission. Beth Clodfelter will be appointed to the Environment and Sustainability Commission as our council representative, as well as to the Municipal Arts Commission. Paul Isherwood will be representing council on the Comprehensive Plan Review Advisory Commission. John Stazer will be representing council with the Pedestrian Accessibility and Bicycle Task Force, as well as the Commission on Disabilities. Alan Swank will be representing our council with the Affordable Housing Commission and the Associated Rental Inspection Process Ad Hoc Subcommittee. Michael Wood will be representing council with the Recreation Advisory Board. And I'd like to thank all council members for their service on those commissions, as well as the service of our volunteers from the community. Next, we have a communication from Member Swank on the Ohio Division of Liquor Control notice.
Members of council, we recently received a notice of a liquor permit transfer, being transferred from JSF Wine and Spirits, LLC, doing business at 14 Station Street, Athens, Ohio. That's where Uncorked used to be. Being transferred, same address, 14 Station Street, LLC, Bobcats is the name of the business, B-O-B-C-A-T-Z. Again, 14 Station Street. This is for a D1, a D2, and a D3 liquor permit. This is a simple transfer. Any comment on whether or not we need to request a hearing on this transfer? Hearing none, Mr. President, I guess the clerk or whomever processes this as requested, and you can have these back. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Swank. Do we have additional communications from other council members? Member Sherwood.
Yeah, I just want to say, over the last week, in sort of working as the chair of the City Safety Services Committee, I want to thank the Chief of Police, Nick Magruder, who took some time out to show me around the Athens Police Department facility, talk me through the issues that they face every day, and to let me know some of the concerns and challenges that our Athens Police Department face on a regular basis, and that was really, really enlightening. I want to thank him for taking the time. We really do have a dedicated police force in the city that we can be really proud of. And I also want to thank, it was interesting in a very different way today. I had a tour of the water treatment plant with Lisa Agriesti, and I don't know if you have not been to the water treatment plant, I highly recommend you do it. And if you have even just driven by on 33 and you've looked over and you've seen the water treatment plant, or if you have cycled by going along on the bike path, and you'll know when you're going past the water treatment plant, you are only seeing a tiny fraction of the work that they do. Most of it's underground. I was totally unaware and blown away by the scale of that operation. It's really impressive, and the work that the staff do at that facility is really, really amazing. And if you come across Lisa Agriesti or any of her staff or any of her team, you should thank them very much because they're really outstanding. Just wanted to make sure I pointed that out today.
Thank you, Member Sherwood. Do we have other communications from council members? Communications or reports from other elected officials? Law Director?
No.
Treasurer? Mr. Mayor?
believe it or not, I don't have much. You will see this, council. I had a communication earlier. Actually, it was during the MLK silent march and the brunch. The dean for the Health Sciences and Professions on Ohio University campus is interested in serving on the Commission on Disabilities. So just giving you a preamble that Dean John McCarthy would like to serve in that capacity. And Councilmember Isherwood, just a little point of clarification. I understand what you mean by water treatment. It's treating pretty nasty water. It's the wastewater treatment.
Wastewater, yes. Yes.
Yes,
This is
so,
made very
so
clear
there
she
is a little
can't-
bit of a
yes.
difference. One is clean that's going to our population.
going to
The other is really not clean.
I'm going to the other one on Friday.
But they are good. And I'm glad you're doing that. And I encourage all council members, when you have the time, to go through those plants, because those are the unsung heroes. The work that they end up doing is not sexy. It's not. It smells in different ways, but certainly worth going to see what they do in terms of protecting our environment and protecting all of you. So
Thank you,
that's
Mr.
all I have.
Okay, all right. We are now done with communications and reports, so we'll move on to ordinance for first reading, beginning with Ordinance 0126, an ordinance granting a special right-of-way use at 35 Elliott Street to place an in-ground sign in front of the building in the city's right-of-way, introduced by Councilmember Swank.
This is ordinance number 1, and over the next almost 12 months, the folks on this dais, with the help of elected officials, will pass somewhere between 110 and 135 other ordinances, things that we use to represent citizens and do the business of the city. This would be a good time to very briefly describe how an ordinance takes place. Basically, they come from 3 places. Most of the ordinances we deal with come from elected officials. The second item on the agenda tonight is an example of that, where we are going to approve an annual purchase of water softening salt. And because it's $230,000, that's well above what the administration can spend without council approval, checks and balances. A second place that we often get these from are from council members. For those of you who've been around town, 4 years ago, you remember me wheeling in 2 large trash cans in here in a small bag. And the purpose of that was to show the inequity of charging renters more for putting out the same amount of trash that a homeowner puts out. And we were able to pass an ordinance so that no matter if you are a homeowner or a renter, you put out 1 can, you pay for 1 can, and you pay for the same amount of money, or you pay the same amount of money. And the third way an ordinance comes before City Council is when a citizen or a business brings a concern or a request. And the request before us tonight in 0126 is to place a sign in the city right-of-way on Elliott Street. If you're on Stimson Avenue, coming from the Stimson Avenue roundabout and get to Elliott and make a left and go down maybe 1/10 of a mile, on the right there is an old building that is a woodworking shop, and right next to that is Uptown Realty's office. They want to put a sign in the city right-of-way simply advertising their business so that they can hopefully generate more business and for their clients or their tenants or prospective tenants to be able to find it. It's a rather routine request. City right-of-way is simply property that is your yard but is owned by the city, and the purpose generally is so that the city can access utilities and other needed things when they arise. So tonight, real simple, first reading. We'll have 2 more readings on this. The applicant went through the process, and it's pretty straightforward. A sign, a simple sign within code in the front yard of a business on Elliott Street. Mr. President, 0126 has been read for the first time.
All right, thank you, Member Swank. Moving on to Ordinance 0226, an ordinance authorizing the annual purchase of water softening salt for the water treatment plant, introduced by Member Isherwood.
Yeah, Member Swank stole my thunder on this one a little bit. This is the most exciting thing for me on the agenda tonight that I get to actually take charge of. Yes, this is an ordinance 0226, an ordinance authorizing the annual purchase of water softening salt for the water treatment plant. And I believe the administration has something to add on this.
Well, if you recall, thank you, Member Isherwood. If you recall, Councilmember Swank was concerned about the increase in the amount for this year versus last year. And given that, I went and spoke with the plant operator as well as the director for engineering and public works. And while these are proprietary funds for this account line, so it's money that's coming from the water utility bill, and it's currently, the initial ask was for $240,000 to go forward. In conversations, we are willing to drop that down to $230,000. I'm still thinking that will cover. The thing that is good to note about our softening salt is that softening salt, while they're in the salt vaults, which protects that salt, if we have excess going into next year, that'll help, that'll certainly help with what we're asking for in 2027 when we get to that point in time. But it's better to have more than to have less, because then we'll have to come back to council and ask for another appropriation to go back out and purchase softening salt. And again, don't confuse softening salt with road salt. Road salt cannot be used for softening salt. And the other way around would not be wise, because it's typically more expensive for softening salt, and why put softening salt on the roads? You know, that's what road salt's all about. So that's where we're at with the change in that. So again, asking for council to consider the appropriation to be $230,000 for the salt, so that we can purchase softening salt.
Thank you. Anything else from you, Member Isherwood?
Nope. That we consider read for the first time?
Well, we would, Mr. President, I would move to amend
Yeah.
0226 to $230,000.
Do we have a second?
I would second.
All right. We have a motion and a second. All in favor indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. All right. With that, the ordinance has been amended. Would we like okay, and now we've read for the first time. Ordinance 03-26, an ordinance amending the 2026 appropriation ordinance 120-25 and authorizing interfund transfers, introduced by Councilmember Thomas.
Thank you. This is an ordinance just adjusting some of the appropriations that were previously made at the end of last year, estimating what we would need this year in some different funds. I'll read through the changes in section 1, and then I'll read through just the short ones in section 2. In section 1, $12,511.84 to general fund fire for state fire marshal grant funds. Those are for Marcos radios, and that is being moved because it was not previously known when the grant would arrive. $20,000 to APR Income Tax Fund 273 for pole skimmer repairs. As we discussed in committee, these have been ongoing 2-year problems with the skimmers, and so now they're putting in a final fix for that, hopefully a final fix. The next one, $214,000 to general fund, other administrative 101.120 for a transfer, and $161,000 to capital improvements fund 580 for transfer, and increasing the total appropriations by set amounts. In section 2, we're going to authorize an interfund transfer. One is from General Fund 101.120 to the ACIC Fund, the Athens Community Improvement Corporation, of $214,000. A second transfer of Capital Improvement Fund 580 to also ACIC Fund of $161,000. The differences between those two is the ones in section 1 are appropriations within the general fund, and the other two are appropriations that are moving from general, outside of the general fund to other funds, just for clarity for everyone for the first beginning of the year. Yeah, we've talked about these in committee. Does anyone have any questions?
Do we have any questions? All right.
Anything to add from the mayor? Treasurer? All right, the ordinance has been read for the first time.
Thank you, Member Thomas. We are now moving on to resolutions for first reading, beginning with Resolution 01-26, a resolution estimating the amount of interim monies for deposit in public depositories and directing the treasurer to take periodic applications and to award interim deposits as monies become available, introduced by Member Thomas.
I'm going to just do real quick background on that from committee last week, just an update for everyone. These are, this A, actually, we have two things. One, this will need to be suspended tonight so that it can be done according to the ORC dates and guidelines. But just as a explanation of what this is, this ordinance allows and directs the treasurer to take applications for depositories, banks and savings and loans that will allow that as funds become available and are not needed for 6 months or more, that they can be held in those earning interest in CDs and investments. In this, it's going to say that the city is estimated over the next 5 years to have $35 million available at interim periods, available for deposit. And there are various rules around that I'm sure he can go into more detail in for anyone that would like or has any questions. This also has a due date of, we will receive a letter on or before February 9th from the treasurer with the maximum amount of interim monies for the next quintuple period. Yeah, if we have any questions, and then we will need to move to suspend.
Member Swink?
I have a question for the treasurer. It says to take periodic applications. Would you equate that as to taking bids where these financial institutions would bid on our business, hopefully offering the highest rate we can possibly get? Would that be what this is?
Pretty much. I equated to the fact that, like, if I would have money to invest, I might call People's Bank, I might call Chase Bank and say, what do you have to offer? They're going to send me their application, or their offer is the same thing as to what they can offer me in terms of an investment.
So you look at two things, the amount of money they can offer in terms of interest, the interest rate,
Correct.
but also the viability of the institution.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Member Isherwood?
So it sounds like, if for people who maybe this is their first time hearing about this, it sounds like we have $35 million, and that's amazing. Why is the city in any financial difficulty? We've got this huge slush fund, but that's not what this is. Can you just explain in a little bit more detail so that people have a real sense that this is smart money management of a small amount of money that's for other things, as opposed to, we hit the lottery?
Correct. When we do our investments with the city, the money that I'm investing is money. The best examples is when you all city council look at your fund reports. The three best examples are your sewer, water, the sewer and water funds. Basically, is take a look at those. They hold a high balance at all times, and this is important. We've talked about this in the past, that it's important. Your sewer fund, you want to have a very high balance in that, because if you have a sewer problem, it's not going to be cheap to fix, correct? But that's money that's not necessarily needed tomorrow. So what do we do with it? So that's where I'm authorized to put that money in some sort of investment. I've mentioned to you, we have Red Tree Investment Firm that handles some things for us. We have CDs, we have different things. And that way, as that money sits there, it's money that we want. We can't spend it. And obviously, we've talked about proprietary funds. We can't pull it out of the sewer fund and put it into the general fund. It has to stay there. So those funds that have to carry higher balances for those reasons, that's the money that I'm investing. So there's rules to all this too, according to the ORC. And then we have our own Athens City investment policy that's been updated a couple times since I've been in office. That states too that the investments that I do also need to be callable at any moment. Can't think of anything that I have that we couldn't get tomorrow if we needed to. Now, possibly there'd be a small penalty in trying to get it, but everything that I've invested in the way that I've done it, I've made sure that if there was any type of a penalty, the interest rate that we would have already received would outweigh that. So we're not going to lose anything, is essentially what I'm saying. And again, that's part of the ORC as well. Just for new council members too, there's certain things that I can invest in and I can't. I can invest in, U.S. Treasuries. I can invest in CDs. I can do a little bit of commercial paper. But they all have to be things that are rated at a certain rate. They all have to have, basically, again, I'm not allowed to lose money. That's the gist of it, is with all the rules that I have to go through to do it. There's 2 different trainings that I had to take to do it. And then we also, again, like I say, work with Red Tree Investments. That's what they do for a living, is they work with cities. So that way we're covered in terms of making sure everything is invested wisely. But over the past, we've determined over the past couple of years, it's worked out well for us. We've had some opportunities to invest some money, and it's kind of helped with our general fund, with our other funds, anything we can do, we try to make that happen.
Thank you.
Back to you, Member Thomas.
Thank you.
All right. Did we take care of?
Mayor.
Oh, Mr. Mayor.
I think this is good, just from a clarification standpoint. Typically with an ordinance, this is a resolution, but with an ordinance, there's the introduction, there's the 3 readings, and then council on the 3rd reading decides to pass or not. Resolutions, there's 2 types of resolutions. There's a 1-reading resolution, which is a sense of council, and then there's a 3-reading resolution. And this is a 3-reading resolution that needs to be suspended based upon the timing of being able to get this out. So I just need that to be understood by everybody, and in particular our new council members, the difference between the two. Normally a 3-reading resolution would go through the same time course that a ordinance would, where there's the introduction and 3 readings. So this is slightly different.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Anything else from Administration Treasurer? Okay. Member Thomas?
With that, I would take a motion to suspend.
So move.
Seconded.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, indicate so by saying nay. All right, the rules have been suspended, Member Thomas.
All right, and now I would take a motion to adopt Resolution 0126.
So moved. Second.
Were you able to record that? Okay. All right. We've had a motion and a second. All in favor, indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, indicate so by saying nay. All right, with that, Resolution 0126 passes unanimously. Next, we have Resolution 02-26, a resolution declaring the intent of the City Council to designate the public depositories for the active funds of the City of Athens, the term for receiving applications, and the time for designation introduced by Member Thomas.
All right. Again, this is one that will, due to dates dictated by ORC that we talked about last week in committee, this will need to be suspended also. This just states that we are accepting applications for active funds per ORC 135. Just reading through that we are declaring our intent to designate public depositories for the active funds of the City of Athens for the quintuple period from March 1st, 2026 to March 1st, 2031. It has the dates down there that we will be accepting and receiving applications from the 1st of February to the 7th of February. The designation shall be made for a period of 5 years on the first day of March, which is why we need to suspend, and that the City Council will meet in regular session on Tuesday, February 17th, and designate the depository. And that is it.
All right.
Any questions on this one?
Questions or comments from council before we go to the, yes, Member Swink?
Back to the treasurer. I missed this last week that this was 5 years. When you do these, because you've done these in the past, what length of time do you normally lock in for?
It's always 5 years.
Oh, it's a 5-year,
Yeah,
okay.
that's ORC.
Okay.
Yeah, the state has it.
So
as a
you have
5
no
years.
say in,
Nope.
okay.
Yep.
Thank you, Treasurer. Any other questions or comments from council members? Mr. Mayor? All right, back to you, Member Thomas.
All right, with that, I would take a motion to suspend.
So moved.
Member Schwick gets that one. And do we have a second? Was that Member Stazer? Okay, thank you. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. All right, then we have suspended the rules, Member Thomas.
Thank you. With that, I would take a motion to pass 02-26.
So moved.
We have a
Second.
motion and a second. All in favor indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. All right, the resolution has passed unanimously. We're now moving on to announcements and other business, to be followed by opportunities for citizens to speak on legislative items and city services not covered on the agenda. Announcements and other business. First, motions to amend City Council rules. Member Swink?
Yeah, thank you. Excuse me. At last Monday's Committee of the Whole meeting, we discussed adding 2 items to the order of business for our regular sessions of council, and moving the call to order from rule number 7 to rule number 8. There was generally consensus and support for 2 of the suggestions, and a general lack of support for the 3rd. So based on last Monday's discussion, and unless I hear a change in sentiment from my fellow council members, at this time I move that we repeal Rule 7, the call to order, and move it to Rule 8, and add to Rule 8 the approval of the agenda as the 3rd item after the establishment of a quorum.
We've had a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Time for discussion. Do we have questions or comments from council members on this? Member Klonfelder?
I do have one question. Member Swank, is your intention by asking us to vote to approve the agenda, would that prevent somebody from offering an amended agenda like you did tonight to get someone on a board or committee? I mean, would that limit us from proposing things?
No, that is the purpose of approving the agenda. When we get to that item in the agenda, a lot of agendas here, when we get to that item into the agenda, just as I did tonight, I would move to add something to the agenda. There would be a second. If there needed to be discussion on that, there could be, and a simple majority vote would add it to the agenda.
But that would have to happen before that we got to that
Well,
vote.
remember, this would be the three items, that this is the third item. Yeah, so we're not doing any business before we get to this because, you know, if you look at our agenda tonight, it would, the first thing on the agenda would be, if this passes, call to order. Second item on the agenda would be to establish a quorum. We can't conduct any business without establishing a quorum. The third item on the agenda would be approve the agenda. And then we move right into minutes, communications, so on and so forth. This just formalizes the process of addressing the agenda so that if we get any last minute things, it gives us the option of discussing whether or not we are prepared to handle that at this time rather than just assuming we're going to do it.
Okay.
Wouldn't restrict anything.
Additional discussion? All right, we have a motion and a second. We'll now move to a vote. All in favor of amending City Council rules as described by Member Swank indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed indicate so by saying nay. All right, we have unanimously amended the rules. Thank you, Member Swank. Do we have any further business on motion to amend the City Council rules? All right, we will move on to motion to confirm the mayor's appointment to the Athens Municipal Arts Commission. Oh, yes. Can we,
Second?
and any discussion? All right, all in favor of this appointment indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. All right. Oh, yeah, Member Swank.
Oh, all of us know who we appointed. It might be nice for the community to know who we appointed. It wasn't Bruce Springsteen, by the way.
Mr. Mayor, do you,
I didn't bring the document with me.
Was it Ms. Baird?
Andrea Barrett.
Andrea Barrett, okay. Thank you for that clarification. And Andrea Barrett has now been appointed to the Athens Municipal Arts Commission. And we have a additional motion from Member Swank.
Yes, I would move that we appoint Solveig Svelnes to the Affordable Housing Commission. I'll stop there.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
As a member of City Council, sitting down there at that end, she served on that committee quite well, and now that she is no longer on council, she chose not to run. She would like to continue in that and submitted the application. She was approved today as the recommendation of the Affordable Housing Commission by that commission between 12 o'clock and 1 today in this very chamber.
Any additional discussion? Yes, Member Sherwood.
I just want to add that, Solveig has been involved with this issue for a very long time. She is also a member of the Co-Create group that is brought together by the Athens County Foundation. And so this is an issue that she's, very close to. She's at training as a social worker. Her commitment to that issue of affordable housing in Athens is really critical, and her ability to, and her generous willingness to give up her time to continue supporting that is really commendable. And so I would commend other members of council to support this. It'll be a really important appointment for continuity as that commission continues its work to try and unwork the challenges we have of finding affordable homes for everyone in Athens that needs them.
Thank you, Member Sherwood. Any further discussion on this item? We'll now move to a vote. All in favor of this appointment indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. All right, this appointment has been passed unanimously. And next, we'll move on to motion to accept the November 2025 credit card transactions. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
We've had a motion and a second. All in favor of accepting the credit card transactions indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed indicate so by saying nay. All right, the credit card transactions have been accepted. We now move on to opportunities for citizens to speak on legislative items and city services not covered on the agenda. As we welcome that public comment, we will be using a timer system. Each speaker will have up to 3 minutes, and the visual timer this evening will light green for the first 2 minutes, then it will blink green for the next 30 seconds, followed by yellow for the final 30 seconds, and red when time has expired. The buzzer sound will indicate when the 3 minutes have concluded, and I would encourage those who are hearing that their comments have already been made to consider abbreviating their comments to create more time for additional members of the public to share. Public participation will be limited to 15 minutes. And we will move forward with asking those who approach the podium to speak to begin by introducing themselves with their name, their address, and whether they are representing themselves or an organization. And we'll begin now.
Jack Stauffer, Elmwood. Athens has a very big problem, and it's getting bigger, with potential to overwhelm our small town. Scioto County now has 91 sober houses. 51 Madison Avenue, which is owned by the Lees, Eric and Allie, and operate the Athens Real Estate Company, has leased this address to in an R1 zone, which can be legally rented per Athens code to 3 people. According to the Athens Police Report, there are 8 people living in that house. APD, according to Chief Magruder, has been there 4 times since October. A company out of Columbus shipped these people in, and this has been allowed to happen with the knowledge of Code, Service Safety Director, and the Mayor. I have met with all to verify. After meeting and talking with them, they indicated they would look into the city-wide safety issue. Here is a brief story. A widow lady lives at 53 Madison next door with a shared driveway. She is scared and nervous of 51 next door and has been ignored by her council rep, Mr. Wood, as well as others in city government. On 12/17/25, APD was called to 51 Madison, 3 cruisers, 3 policemen, on a breaking and entering, I believe. Subject ran and was chased down and captured and arrested. A convicted felon with an active outstanding warrant for his arrest. This Columbus company shipped him to Athens for our citizens to be exposed to and endangering our police officers. This is what this widow I witnessed. How should she feel? How would you feel? Not to mention the decline in her property values. So company Next Level has done this. Obtained no variance per our city code, illegally used the 317 board logo from their brochure. According to Diane Pfaff, she has directed them to remove it. They have sent us at least 8 people of questionable character. Are there more felons? Clearly, they don't do any background checks. This appears to not be a professional operation. I am now calling on mayor or council to call a well-advertised town hall meeting with all the following invited to attend: mayor, safety service director, city attorney, code director, police chief, all members of council, representatives of Next Level, representatives of the Department of Behavioral Health, Eric and Allie Lee, Ty Caldwell, state senator, Brian Chavez, state senator.
Thank you, Mr. Stouffer. Would you mind giving us a copy of that letter so that we can follow up with you?
Yes, sir, thank you.
I appreciate that and appreciate your attention to the timeliness since we do have so many people who wish to speak this evening. If you wish to hand that letter to the mayor, we'll make sure that we do follow up.
I have 3 lines to read, and Mr. Goodwin offered to sacrifice 30 seconds.
If you'd like to finish those 3 sentences, please do so quickly.
Thank you, sir. Also, I am requesting as of today for Allie Rapp Lee to be removed from the Planning Commission, as she clearly has a conflict of interest, as this item has been referred to the said Planning Commission. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stouffer. Next, please introduce yourself, letting us know your name, your address, and if you're representing yourself or an organization.
John Wood, I'm representing myself. I live in Amesville. I'm a city employee. I'm the guy who needs the money for the tot skimmer, so thanks. There's obviously a lot of people here today who want to talk about the pledge.
Thanks.
I'm not going to encourage you to say it or to not say it, but I did appreciate, and I want to congratulate you on disagreeing about it in a civil way. I've seen the sound bites that have been reposted. And, you know, when I think about how our government functions, we have the right to freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, the right to redress for grievances. We have freedom of religion. Why do we have those things? Because we're not a monolith, because we disagree. That's why we have a democracy. That's why we have rule by the people, because we're different. So I congratulate you on doing that in a civil manner. It saddens me, though, some of the rhetoric that's been used towards this council regarding that. Representative Edwards said that you hated America. I don't know anyone who hates America so much that they're willing to tour the poop plant, that they're willing to sit in this meeting that's frankly pretty boring and vote on how much money we need for salt and where a sign goes. So I appreciate your service to this community. We're all Americans here. Therefore, we're not un-American. We just have different ideals. So as we speak about this issue, I hope that we can take the example of this council and do it in a way that is respectful. The people who we disagree with are, after all, you know, as it says in the preamble, created equal to us. And I hope we do not take the example of Representative Edwards, who resorted to labeling you un-American. The people that I disagree with in this room are my equals, and I respect their right to be here. And I hope that they also respect the right of everyone here who disagrees with them. Thank you.
All right, our next speaker, if you would be so kind as to introduce yourself, sharing your name and your address, and whether you're representing yourself or an organization.
My name is Aiden Fox. I'm an Athens resident. I'm here representing myself. I'd like to start off by echoing the previous comments. I do appreciate that this is a civil discussion. However, I need to start off by saying why I am here. Last week, Councilmember Swank introduced a motion to amend the City Council procedures, adding the Pledge of Allegiance to the beginning of council meetings. The reason I am here is because after introducing that motion, several members of our city government sitting right in front of me here called our Pledge of Allegiance performative, said that they don't feel comfortable saying it, saying that they believe it entails some kind of fealty swear to the current administration. And frankly, I would have to disagree with every single one of that. The Pledge of Allegiance, when you actually look at the words that you are asked to say, you are pledging allegiance to the flag and to the republic for which it stands. When you say the Pledge of Allegiance, you are not being required to go to church. You are not being required to bend the knee to the current administration, to whichever president is in power. You are being asked a very civilizational, foundational question. Are you willing to express your support for the nation in which you reside? That is a yes or a no question. Saying that you don't believe that the pledge has a place in a liberal government. Athens is not a liberal government. It is an American city in the American state of Ohio, which is part of the United States of America. This is not some separate enclave apart from the rest of our nation, rest from the people or the cultures and the state and our great nation. We are all Americans, as has already been said. I would like to thank the people who came here tonight to join me in saying this Pledge of Allegiance. I would like to thank all the people who brought this council chamber to capacity. I'd like to thank all the people who were turned away outside, the building. And I'd like to thank council members Swank and Isherwood for standing with us and reciting that pledge. If there were other members that I did not see that did stand, I would like to thank them as well. But I would just like to remind everyone that this is not a left or right-wing issue. This is an American issue. You have your First Amendment right. You are willing and able to not say the pledge if you wish. The thing that brought all of us here tonight was the disrespect in not even allowing that question to be entertained. Thank you.
right, if our next speaker could introduce himself in his address, and if you're representing yourself or an organization.
My name is Paul Mullins, and I live on Briarwood Drive, 47. I'm representing myself. My backyard borders the backyard of 51 Madison Avenue. I do not want a sober house as my next door neighbor. Does anyone on council or anyone in the Athens community want a sober house as their neighbor? Listen, in the short few months that they've been populated, we've talked about the police making many visits. We heard about the person that was arrested. He had served prison time and had a history of biting the end of a finger off a police officer. That's what's next to me. Another police visit occurred late summer when the Athens County was in a severe drought, and my house was suddenly filled with smoke. I looked down to see someone at the sober house had started a very large bonfire under many trees. I could find no person watching the fire. We called 911 as the entire neighborhood was one spark from burning up. So relapses in addicts frequently occur. Is my medicine cabinet the next source of supply to someone in this sober house? If our city council and city officials don't protect our community, Columbus will continue to populate Athens with more sober houses. It has happened in one of the nicest neighborhoods in Athens already. I hear that perhaps the code that regulates is a state code and allows sober houses in R1 areas and not the local code. The local code office cannot control it. We need to establish oversight on this facility at 51 Madison to find who is responsible for monitoring it and be in a position to enforce violations. We need to respond to the fact that this house was populated before the company of Next Step had even registered it. That is not right. If the state only is to inspect the goings-on in sober houses in Athens, we lose control of our city. We become the dumping ground for Columbus. I ask every city council member and city official to begin an action plan in this matter. Do we want to be subservient to agencies from Columbus that make a profit off proliferating Athens resident areas with sober houses? Can a city attorney find a way to get us out of this mess? Do we want to relinquish our control of our city by no action? We need action. We need our own oversight. We need to keep our small city a safe place to live. Let us be determined to find a way to make that happen. And let me conclude by saying, City Council and city officials will determine the quality of life in Athens by the action or non-action on this matter. Thank you.
Thank you. At this point, I'd like to remind everyone that we are trying to maintain a level of decorum in the room and to provide equal recognition without charged inequity. We would like you to refrain from applause. We'll next have the next speaker approach the podium, introduce yourself, share your address, and let us know if you are representing yourself or an organization.
I'm Brian McMillan. I'm a resident in Athens. I've lived here for 20 years. I love this town. I love America. And I think the fact that the pledge being said at the beginning of these meetings being discussed is ridiculous. I think nothing but good can come out of it. I believe that we practice things to get better at them. And I believe that saying the pledge is a practice of becoming a better American. Nobody's perfect. I think that this is essential. The world's crazy right now. America's crazy right now. And I think that it's something that brings us all together because we can all agree we love this country. There's no question about that. And I don't think anything but good can come out of this. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move to the next speaker. Appreciate everyone's cooperation and timeliness. Do we have other members of the public who'd like to share any remarks on any topics not covered on the agenda? If so, please approach the podium, introduce yourself with your name, address, and let us know if you're representing yourself or an organization.
Hi, y'all. My name is Joe Radwiney. I live on Swart Road, north of Albany. But like I often have mentioned, some of y'all are new. I do about half my work here in Athens, in the city of Athens, so I'm paying your wages. And I always thank you for your service, because the job you're doing is a hard job. And politics, you're swinging around millions of dollars, but it is also performative theater. Some people think politics is the second oldest profession, but I've been doing it over 40 years, and I can tell you, there are different kinds of political mistakes you can make. There's unforced errors, which is what we hire y'all to do and deal with. But forced errors are when you really are going out of your way to kind of screw things up or create division. There's a lot of that in this country right now. I am nonpartisan. I didn't come here because any candidate asked me to. When I first heard about the pledge, it just made me sad, and I made it a point to talk to y'all about it. Some of you I know. We stand at we're at the beginning of the 250th anniversary of this great experiment in liberty. And if you read I would encourage you all to review the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. And it's all about we the people. So if I represent anybody, I'm here to talk for not just the city of Athens, but our community that is very frustrated with your concerns about the pledge. The flag, the republic, it stands for unite us. We can agree to disagree. And again, I respect all your service, but I really hope that you would reconsider your choice. I brought a flag, by the way, but I don't know that I need to unfurl it. You got one right back there. But really listen to the words and think about them. It's kind of a prayer that says, hey, we're all in this together, and we are blessed, live in the greatest, craziest country in the world. But it takes all of our participation, and I appreciate yours. Thank you.
Thank you. I will add at this time that if anyone has comments that they wish to share with council members outside of this period, you can always find our email addresses on our city council website, and we'll continue with anyone from the public who wishes to take advantage of this opportunity to comment on items not on this evening's agenda. If so, please begin by introducing yourself. Let us know your name, address, and if you're representing yourself or an organization.
Hi, Amy Delich, Morris Avenue, and I just want to take it in a different direction and express my gratitude to the city, the university, city administration, and officials. Yesterday had the very, very moving experience of attending the Martin Luther King Jr. Silent March and brunch, and I know a lot of folks in this room were there. It was tremendously inspiring. It reminded us all of the work that we need to do together to make this great nation as great as it can possibly be. Very much recommend that everyone make a point of doing it next year, and I'm really glad to be a part of it and grateful to the city and the university. Thanks.
Thank you very much. And we've just reached our 15-minute mark for public comment, and with that, I would take a motion to adjourn. Member Swink.
If people want to talk, they can talk. The reason I say that, by our rules, the rule says 15 minutes per topic. We've now had 3 topics covered. So unless we were dividing them out, how many went for the thing that Mr. Stauffer and Mr. Mullins spoke to, and how many minutes for Ms. Delich spoke to?
Thank you, Member Swink.
See what I'm saying?
Let's do a quick check to see, do we have anyone else who would like to speak specifically on the topic of the pledge? I do see another hand, 2. Let's go ahead and accept those 2 before we accept a motion to adjourn. If those 2 would please approach the podium, and we'll make those our last 2 of the evening. Please introduce yourself with your name, address, and if you're representing yourself or an organization.
Hi, my name is Keegan Chubb. I am representing myself, and I am a resident of Nelsonville, 29 John Street. I'm here today because I find it very, very disrespectful to our government, our military, and any soldier that ever fought for us and is fighting for us right now. I can say here, I've never been to a meeting in my life, but I can read this room very well, and I can tell who would stand before that flag and say the pledge and who won it. I can only pick 2 people with my 2 eyes that probably would. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here and waste my time. I worked all day today, and here I am. I haven't even ate dinner yet. And I'm like that one guy said, this is very boring to me. The fact I'm wasting my time right now to speak on something so simple that was instilled in us since elementary school, kindergarten, whatever, is pretty dumbfounded. And that's really all I got to say. But like this other guy, Fox, whatever his name was, we all have one big, one agenda. We are all the same people. We all are united, and we all care about America. And I surely do care about America. So I appreciate all the work you guys do and everything like that. But I hope you guys appreciate all the stuff our soldiers do for you, all the policemen do for you, and everything. So you can sit up here with a good grin, go home at bed and sleep nice and tight, and not have to worry about what's going on in Ukraine, what's going on in Russia, and what Taiwan is worrying about, okay? Thank you for the time.
Thank you. If our last speaker could approach the podium. And if you could introduce yourself with your name, address, and let us know if you're representing just yourself or an organization.
My name is Dave Murray. I'm representing myself. I live on Pleasanton Road in Athens. I've lived here since 1978. Always been a very proud resident of the county. For the first time, I'm embarrassed to say I'm a member of this community. You folks embarrassed us on a national level. I don't know how to say it any other way than that. We were brought up from elementary school all the way through high school. Some people might not be old enough to remember this, but we said the Pledge of Allegiance every day. That's how it was instilled to us. Be proud of the country you're with. Have allegiance. It was mentioned that I'm sorry. I don't remember which one of you said that the current administration is the reason why they didn't feel comfortable standing up to speak and say the Pledge of Allegiance. We had about an 8-year run of pretty bad administration. I never once thought that I wouldn't stand and pledge my allegiance to this great state, this great country. That's an embarrassment just because you don't agree or don't like the person in office that you won't stand and say your allegiance to our country. I hope we can bring Athens back in a good light. Mr. Swank, I appreciate you bringing this to the committee and wanting to do the pledge every day or every meeting. Thank you for that. Thank you all for your time. I do appreciate the opportunity to have a civilized discussion, but let's get right back to where this country was founded and pledge our allegiance to the United States. Thank you all.
Thank you. And I would like to also thank everyone for their respectful democratic engagement this evening, and I'll take a motion to adjourn. Do we have a second? Second. All in favor of adjourning, indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? We are adjourned at 7:53.